from PRX.
Friends beyond the binary, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's time for a podcaster that's here to keep you company and take your mind off of stuff so you can fall asleep. I'm here to be your boyfriend. I'm here to take you on a journey off to dreamland, or just take your mind off of stuff with our friends at like we're going to a shopping mall. Is that they're called? Malls, but it was called a shopping mall, right? They'll call them, I guess they call them shop. Did you want to go to the shopping mall? That sounds very formal. Would you dress in formal wear? No, but I may rent some formal wear or purchase some formal wear at the shopping mall. Probably you wouldn't use Usted by the shopping mall unless it was a right? You may be saying, I mean, I can feel the eye rolls and they're justified, or the confusion. I'm glad you're here. This is the beginning of a podcast called Sleep With Me. It's a podcast that's here to keep you company and take your mind off stuff so you can fall asleep. It's very different. Does take some getting used to, and just give it a few tries, see how it goes. I'm structurally, we got support, so the show can be free. Then a long meandering intro meant to ease you into bedtime. Then later on, it'll be a bedtime story to put you to sleep. So I'm glad you're here. See how it goes. If you already loathe the show, we've got a website, sleepwithmepodcast.com/no thank you. Other sleep podcasts and sleepy stuff on there. Because I'm still here. I still want you to fall asleep, whether you like me or not. You still deserve a good night's sleep. But I am glad you're here, and I hope you give the show a few tries and it helps you out. And these sponsors are how we're able to do it for free twice a week. Hey, everybody, Scoots here, and I'm talking about the show, all the feedback I've been getting lately, and one of the most important things I've been hearing about Sleep With Me, and I've asked listeners, hey, what's most important to you is consistency. That the show is here, you count on it, it's consistently there, over 600 episodes are ready to go, comes out twice a week. You know, I'm going to be here, and, you know, the episodes are going to be over an hour. And it's a consistent part of your routine. And, you know, from my perspective, I know how much work and how many people have to work on the show to maintain that consistency. But I have to ask you, what's that consistency worth to you? Like having the podcast there, you know, if you listen to it 2 nights a week, or if you listen to it 5 nights a week, because that's when the show is designed, is to be there every school night or every work night consistently for you. But it's just not possible for us to put out 5 episodes a week. It's harder putting out 2 episodes a week. But having the podcast there consistently for you, how much is that worth to you? Like, is it worth $60 to you over a year? Do you listen enough consistently for it to be worth $60 or $120? Is that consistency worth $240 to you a year? I mean, you could support the show monthly. But think about it. Like, do you get $240 of consistent value out of this podcast month after month and night after night, having it consistently coming out and being there for you? Or is something else more important to you? Not the consistency. It's having me as host, or having a variety of styles of episodes, or whatever it is. You can let me know. Don't wait is the thing, because consistency relies on me being here, everybody that works on the show being here, and we're a listener-supported show. So if the show is worth $60, $120, or $240 a year, consider supporting the show right now on Sleep With Me Plus. And that's your vote for consistency. So actually listen to 5 episodes a night consistently. So, of course, it's worth $240. Or you say, well, yeah, I don't have $240, but I could support the show at $7 a month. You can do any of that at Sleep With Me Plus. And here's the other bonus is if you support the show on Sleep With Me Plus, you don't just support the consistency for you, because I've been hearing from a lot of people who can't support the show. You support the consistency for thousands of other people night after night around the world who consistently rely on the show. But we can only do it with your support. So if you consistently get value out of the podcast, consider giving it back too, and support the show at sleepwithmepodcast.com/plus. Oh, Mystery Bard, a lot of people help out on this show. Who are they?
Chris Posty Poster Son sounds like an earful. Wrote the theme song. That it's episode Carl W. the legend. Ashley, Kenny, Scotty, Jennifer. Eric and the team at Astound are on the website. I am the mystery bar. I do the lullabies, yeah. I do commissions at jonathanmann.net. I'll write a song for you. Any reason at all. You can tell me the story and I'll make it personal. You see the kindness shine straight on through when the listeners form their own Facebook group. Keith, Stacy, Sarah, Julie, and Jennifer. These are your moderators. Get support dear Scooter on Patreon. Buy the merch and support the sponsors. You can find anything you want at sleepwithmepodcast.com. And we're so proud that we could dance. Rusty Biscuit, Lois, Hannah like banana. Leah does the transcripts.
Thanks, Mystery Bard. Don't forget, one of the most popular ways to listen to Sleep With Me is with sleep phones, and you can get Sleep With Me branded sleep phones at sleepwithmepodcast.com/sleep-phones, and you can use a promo code Sleep With Me to get $5 off your order. Thanks, everybody. And what do you say we get on with the show? Hey, are you up all night, tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep? Well, welcome. This is Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. We do it a bedtime story. All you need to do is get in bed, turn out the lights, and press play. I'm going to do the rest. What I'm going to attempt to do is create a safe place where you could set aside whatever's keeping you awake, the thoughts, things you're thinking about the past, the present, the future, feelings, anything you're feeling like coming up for you emotionally. So anything, any feelings you're feeling. So thoughts, feelings, physical sensations, changes in time, temperature, routine, work schedule, travel schedule, guest schedule. You could be going through something. It could just be situational. It could be different every time. Whatever it is that's keeping you awake, I'm here to take your mind off of stuff so that you can fall asleep. And the only reason I list some of that stuff is because, for me at least, on some level, it feels pretty lonely in the deep, dark night when I can't sleep. It's something I can't quite explain to somebody else, particularly in the moment. But even not in the moment, it's hard for people that don't get it to understand how it feels. They say, how bad could, just close your eyes and go to sleep. Why don't you just go to sleep then? And so, I don't know. That's why I take the time to run through that stuff, is so you don't, even if I can't relate to how it feels for you in the deep, dark night, there's somebody out there that can. I mean, I know that. Even if you're like, Scooch, you can't relate, you haven't been through something similar, you can't understand how it feels. You say, okay, and even if I can't relate, someone listening right now can, and they are sitting up in bed just for this moment and nodding their head in a kind, loving, and welcoming way, and they are glad you're here, and they do hope this podcast can help you, or they do want to remind you, if you're a regular listener, that there are people out there that can relate, and they feel for you, and they want you to get the rest you need and you deserve. And also, for the regular long-term listeners, they want you to be able to hold that space in the future for somebody else and send your love and kindness and hope, or just, relating to their misery across the deep, dark night. So I'm glad you're here. That's what I mean when I'm glad you're here. And what I mean when I say you deserve a good night's sleep, you deserve a bedtime you don't have to dread. You deserve a bedtime that's not full of rigmarole, where you can get the rest you need so your life is more manageable. And then where you can get the rest you need so you can be out there flourishing. And if you're getting the rest you need so your life is more manageable, that means our world's a better place, and that is important, okay? And what I do here is I send my voice across the deep, dark night. I use lulling, soothing, creaky, dulcet tones, pointless meanders, and superfluous tangents, which means I get mixed up, I go off topic, I forget what I was talking about, then I go on a tangent about something unrelated, then I try to remember my first tangent, I go on a second tangent about that, maybe I go on a tangerine tangent, about tangerine, I don't know, Say, like, are those called those things with triangles? Why are they called, why aren't they called are they called tangrams or tangrams? I would think that'd be something you'd send if there was like, here's something I'd like to not have people use this for free, but if there was ever like some sort of social media or messaging system or like a platform called Tangerine Related, you'd send someone a tangram, and it's like I guess it would be like if Sleep With Me was an app, you'd send people they'd say, like you'd say, well, what was the message about? I don't know, because I was going on I sent you a message tangentially related to what I was going to tell you, but then I went on a tangent and forgot. So that's what a tangram is. That's what this whole show is. It's, go on tangents. I get mixed up. Like I start talking about tangerines, and the next thing you know, I'm trying to invent pointless, apps. I'm really I don't know if you remember when I came up with Midler. It was spelled like, but that was like 7, 8, 9 years ago. I don't even think that was my first pointless app. I have a suite of pointless apps that I forgot, that are so pointless I've forgotten most of them. Can you send me a tangram? Well, it's like a postcard, but it wouldn't fit on a postcard. And also, like, most people that send tangrams also tend to procrastinate or get distracted. Both of those at the same time. So not a lot of that's why it was never, they say it couldn't be built to scale because could never quantify, whatever. I don't know. It has a unique selling point, I think, I would say. Those are buzzwords. But it's true, you say, but there's not a lot of usage. Tangram, it's a state of mind, man. It's not a thing you actually follow. It's actually IRL. Like most of my tangrams are delivered in person. Unfortunately, the receiver of them, a lot of it is like fostered by my social, my comfortableness with socializing, we'll say in a positive terminology. And they say, their way of saying tangram received, and you hear this all the time on this podcast, they say, I had someone that did this to me on the phone the other day. They I could tell they just had they said, okay, you know what? I got it, got something came up, and they jetted off the call. And that happens a lot at IRL too. And that means in real life. Usually it's like, you know what, I got to run over, I got to check, I got to, they say, I'll be right back. I don't mean, but I won't be right back. It was nice talking to you. That's the best way, that's probably the best way to say it. It doesn't take away the feelings behind that. But they say, it was nice talking to you, but I'm going to talk to some other people. Your tangram was received. I guess maybe I could say that. I can convert that in my mind when they say, it's nice talking to you. It says tangram received. Or we could just say that, instead of message confirmed, you'd send a tangram and the auto reply would be, it was nice talking to you. I'll be using whatever. I've got to go get some air, but we're in the extra air. Yeah, no, I got to get less. I got to get some, this is one of those parties where everything's delivered to. Yeah, I got to go, it was nice talking to you. Tangram received. So I go off topic. I get mixed up. All of it to keep you company and take your mind off stuff. This is a podcast you kind of just barely listen to, kind of like elevated background noise, or a TV on in the other room, or out of focus picture. Even though it's a podcast, you just kind of listen to it. Like a friend on the phone. That you don't feel like any pressure to listen to. Also, this podcast does not put you to sleep. I'm here to keep you company while you fall asleep. There is no pressure to fall asleep with this show. I'm going to be here for over an hour, so you don't have to worry about falling asleep. So, what do you call it? I'm going to be here for over an hour to keep you company, to be your boar friend, your boar bae, your boar sib, your boar bud, your boar bestie, your neighbor, your bore bud, your bores, your bore bee, your bore friend and your BFF forever. I'm here to keep you company and take your mind off stuff so you can fall asleep. But if you need to listen to me all night long, or you need to listen to me when you wake up, whatever it is, I'm here to keep you company, and then you could fall asleep. So it's like you could listen to me, or if you need a break during, because there's people that listen to the show to the very end who can't sleep at all. So I'm here to keep you company whether you're awake or asleep, whether you're barely listening while you're awake or asleep. So those are two things to know. The other things to know, most people don't like the show at all. Or like when they first get here, they're very doubtful or skeptical. That's a normal, like, why wouldn't you be is my thing. Why wouldn't you be skeptical about this podcast? I mean, if you listen to everything I've said so far, that would make me skeptical. And if you were searching for the show or you read a review of it or someone recommended it, you might have a different idea of what a sleep podcast is in your mind, right? And you say, I thought this was going to be more soothing and less creaky dulcet, less, I get the idea of, are those called tangram? Well, that's what tangram maybe, but why isn't it called a trigram? That was before I went on the tangent. I said, whatever those puzzles are with triangles, they're called tangram. There's something, because I watch a TV show that the puzzles are in sometimes, and I say, wait a second, but it's a triangle, right? I don't know. Tangential. Maybe that has to do with triangles. My vocabulary is I just said vocabulary. The word is vocabulary. It's very limited. So what was my point? Don't need to listen to me. If you're skeptical or doubtful, it's pretty normal because this show's very different. In fact, for most listeners, this is the largest piece of feedback I've gotten. Probably not that much more than I have strong non-positive feelings about you. But the people that don't send that message, and you don't need to because you could go to sleepwithmepodcast.com/no thank you and find something else to put you to sleep instead. But the biggest piece of feedback I get is like, hey, it took a couple tries to get used to, but now I'm like a supporter because I had no idea this existed or that I'd been looking for it my whole life. But now I know, I just wanted a friend to talk to me that I'm not obligated to listen to or to clean up after. So give it a few tries and just see how it goes. You have nothing to lose. And then again, if it doesn't work, try sleepwithmepodcast.com/no thank you. And you'll see other sleep podcasts on there. The other thing that throws people off is the structure of the show. And the show's structured in a very specific way just to benefit the most amount of people it can. But you can make adjustments. But this is also just a version that works for most people. It starts off with a greeting, friends beyond the binary, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I face something silly. I say something say something silly. The second mix-up was on purpose, I'll be honest. But the first one was not. The first one's free. But so the beginning of the show, so you feel seen and welcomed in, and you say, okay, I might be able to check that show out. I could try it. Then there's sponsor support. So paying for the show is optional. If you'd prefer no sponsor support, you could support the show at Sleep With Me Plus or join our referral program and listen to a version without sponsors. Most people prefer, hey, I'd rather have a sponsor-supported version of the show. Then there's a long meandering intro after that sponsor support, separate from the sponsor support. And the long meandering intro is not actually meant to put you to sleep. We're into it now, about 15 minutes, I think. And this intro is meant to ease you into bedtime, not to put you to sleep. So while you're getting comfortable, you could be listening to the intro. While you're getting ready for bed, you could be listening to the intro, or while you're doing a chill activity. And this is just what has been shown to work, and what's worked for me personally most of the time, is having a wind down. So that's what the intro is a wind down wherever you are. Now, a small percentage of people skip the intro and a small percentage of people fall asleep during the intro. So, you could see what works for you. If you listen all night or stuff like that, you're probably better off supporting the show directly. But, yeah, so that's the intro. Because some people just like the story. And actually, we're launching a story-only version. It's probably out by now. So if you just like the stories, you could listen to a version of the show that's just story versions of the podcast. Or you could do that on Sleep With Me Plus. But anyway, I'm getting off topic. So that's the intro. Then there's support again, so paying for the show's optional. Then there's a bedtime story. It's going to be Multiplex episode 10. And then there's some thank yous and good nights at the end. And I think that's everything. Oh, you know what I always forget to mention is like a lot of people, what they do is like set a sleep timer. So you could set a sleep timer. Almost every podcast app has a sleep timer, or a lot of phones have it built in, and you just set it for whatever, 60 minutes. Some people set it for 45. Otherwise, like build a playlist or whatever, whatever works for you. But I just wanted to let people know, yeah, like most podcast apps do have a sleep timer, or you could set it for after the episode ends. Each podcast app is different, though, so not all of them have the same features. But that's what's great about making a podcast is you can listen in a podcast app how you kind of want to listen. So that's just a reminder that what are those called? Sleep timers are out there. It's usually like a Z's or a clock in your podcast app. So that's it. It's just the reason I brought it up is like when I talk about like how people listen and how people prefer this version of the show, like we can see like a drop off like of a small percentage of like at 45 minutes and at 60 minutes, like who has their sleep timer set. It's not a huge number of people. But it's just interesting to kind of share because some people, you might not know about that option. So anyway, I'm glad you're here. I work really hard. You're in a nice drive. I really want to help you fall asleep. Thanks again for coming by. And here's a couple ways we're able to put this show out for free twice a week. Hey, everybody, Scoots. I've taken a lot of feedback trying to figure out what's really important to listeners about this show, regular listeners. So if you're new, don't worry about it. And one of the messages I got is consistency, that the podcast is here on a consistent basis for you. 2 episodes a week, and then having a lot of archived episodes, over 600 episodes you can listen to is important. And I think having that peace of mind, the episodes are going to be over an hour. There's a bunch of episodes. There's going to be a new one. If this one doesn't work for you, the next one might. Like, the podcast is going to be here for you because if you're a regular listener, you kind of count on it, right? And you count on those episodes coming out. And so if you do that, I really need you to ask you to think about that. Like if consistency and having this podcast come out on a regular basis is important to you, if the podcast, the value you get out of the show is worth like $120 a year for you, the consistency does depend on listeners supporting the show back. And so if it is important to you, consider supporting the show right now or setting an alarm right now, because that's what we're trying to focus on is how can we keep consistently making this podcast and make it sustainable. So if consistency of Sleep With Me and variety and me being here consistently for you is important to you, please don't wait. Go to sleepwithmepodcast.com/plus and support the show directly. You also get tons of amazing content. Put out so much great stuff on Subscriber Summer so far. And I've been editing stuff. I've been recording stuff. I love making this show. I love putting it out on a consistent basis and working week after week with everybody else that works on this show to make sure it consistently comes out for you and it's here for you when you need it. And if that resonates with you, if consistency of Sleep With Me is important to you, please consider supporting it back, because that's really in the end what it makes possible. The show's always been people supporting the show directly is what's enabled us to consistently keep putting it out. So please consider supporting it consistently at sleepwithmepodcast.com/plus. Thanks. All right, everybody, this is Scoots. Welcome to another episodically modular episode of our series Multiplex. And this is an episodically modular series about 4 friends in a shopping mall on an adventure. And the main character, each episode, the main character will catch up on, or the narrator will catch you up on everything that's going on. And, yeah, I'm really glad to help tell you the story and to introduce our Hollywood announcer who's here to help, Mr. Antonio Banderas. The friends beyond the binaries, the ladies and gentlemen, the boys and girls, it's time to Multiplex. Swish, ya. Thanks, Antonio. Notice, Antonio, like I was so distracted that I didn't even mention. You're our Hollywood announcer. You come all the way from the greater Los Angeles area for your love, because you love the listeners and sleep so much. You just love giving. Like, honestly, your giving spirit oozes out of your pores. Not oozes, actually. I don't like that term, if you don't mind me saying. Your kindness and generosity jettisons. I don't know if a pour can jettison anything, but you know what I'm saying? It like I've never heard of a pour beaming or jettisoning anything. I mean, I have heard of it jettisoning things like a pour clogger, but not like that, because that is like, there's no oozing with you. I mean this in the best possible. I'm only complimenting you at this. There's no sub compliments right here. Like, there's something about you. Now, the mic does pick it up, unfortunately. So that is that's not, I'm just saying it directly. Like, there's something about you and your generous spirits that's palpable. And I appreciate it. And I love that you come on the show and give so much, because you just care about the listeners. Thank you. I do. I care about all of you. Good night. That's Mr. Antonio Banderas, and this is Multiplex. Thanks, everybody. Good evening, everybody. My name's Wyatt, and I'm here to tell you a tale of 3 and 4 teens. 3 teens, and then we became 4. Then we met up with another teen. And I don't know if you have heard a story like this. It's a story of great adventure. But the path of adventure did not lead us to greatness or to glory. These are tales never told, but sometimes tales are never told because they say, well, it's like kind of like that sleep podcast, you know, the tale kind of petered out at the end. So I guess this is why it's a tale. Well, this one, it's different because I'll be honest, it's pretty adventurous adventure. I don't know if there's many other adventures out there that involve so much adventuring. If you're overusing the word adventure, but this adventure only resulted in us becoming people among people. And I don't know if you've ever met somebody like that basks in the glory of service to others, I guess they quietly bask. And you say, how did they do that? That's like what I say about my friends, San and Josie and Boyd. We were all, as teens and children, on a path, not just directed by authority figures in our lives, but internally directed towards pulling up our bootstraps, achieving, acquiring, accomplishing all the A's, aptitude, holy aptitude. If they did test our aptitude, and they said holy aptitude. And we were all on different paths, but towards the top, where there was ivy, and then beyond that, whatever, you know, the world was going to be our oyster to snack upon. And it wasn't, you know, and this is again why it's a different story. A lot of those stories, you know, it's like, oh, you know, this person put me, you know, I didn't want to. We all wanted it. Now, when you're a teen, you can't say the right reasons or the wrong reasons because you're still figuring out the reason versus reason versus reason. Maybe that's how you spend the rest of your life. But as a teen, you think you know, too. And so we thought we knew. And we thought the wind was at our backs. But this adventure changed all that for us, where we said, I don't know, that person that's just basking quietly, I can't, you wonder how they got there. This is an adventure that led there. But it actually is an adventure. It's never been told before. You know, recently, some of my, I had a public access television show a long time ago, and I would interview between movies, that, you know, pumpkins, autumnal celebration movies we would show around the year, or sometimes they'd be science fiction. I would have interviews, and the part of those interviews were, you know, a lot of them were on the circuit of those shows, the autumnal celebration shows. But But I would get guests that didn't appear on any of those other shows. But at the time, it was only on my public access stations. People didn't really know about it. But now some people had put the tapes out on the internet, and now people are seeing the interviews, and they're saying, what makeup technique is that? Who is that actor portraying that person? Because it's so incredible. And I'm here to tell you it wasn't like, I don't know, that's what the impetus for me to tell these tales is. But more important than that is just we became people among people. But this isn't, I don't think this is even a parable, or it's just a story of how it's just our story, how we got there. So anyway, there's a shopping mall. There was myself, our friend Boyd, the corncob kid. I'm Wyatt, Josie, and then Santos, San, and Josie, Josie Joes. And we were playing mini golf because I had not gotten a scholarship, which is a part of this path towards greatness I was on. And I said, well, I still have achievement ahead of me. I just got to find the way. It's like one stair is missing, but I can't step over it. I got to replace it. But I was feeling down because I had lost that scholarship, and it seemed like the path ahead of me had gotten foggy. And we were trying to cheer one another, or they were trying to cheer me up. And then we saw Boyd, the corncob kid. Boyd came through a culvert underneath the road and said, hey, on the other side of this culvert, more or less, is the shopping mall that's been closed. And inside that shopping mall is Julius J. Juice concentrate, which he had on him. And he said, it's free for the taking. And, the mall has been out of business. Julius J. Juice has been out of business, but I can sell it on bulletin boards, alt.julius.juice or something. None of this, we figured it out. It might not make sense to you, but these cans of juice, concentrate, could be sold on what would become the internet to all use, and for a lot of money, because there's no cost of goods sold, zero. And suddenly there was enough juice there to at least get me started on this path towards filling in the gap between my scholarship and my future. And Boyd said, I'm happy to divide in any way, in a very fair way, if you help me get the juice out, the concentrate out of the mall and get it somewhere where I can deliver it to my customers. And so we said yes. And we went into the mall, and something was different in there. And I could tell you, as we spent time in the mall, we discovered a few things were different. One, time was different. For every day that passed in the mall, an hour passed in our world that I'm talking to you in. And I was planning on spending the weekend away, so we weren't missed, or we wouldn't be missed for a long time. 24, 40, a lot of days in the mall. Here's the other thing. Something was different in the mall. The mall had been closed, but a lot of the stores were as they were. There was food to eat, drinks to drink, and there was people working in the mall. It was a little bit ethereal. Something was different. And then we started to realize there was movies playing in the multiplex, but the movies were on a loop, and the movies were old movies of autumnal friends coming out. And then we started to realize that the figures in the films were wandering the mall, and they needed our help to get back into their film, but to change the plot of the movie more or less so that they would... a lot of them were on non-positive quests in the films, or something had happened, and then they said, I don't know, their feeling about the world had soured in their viewpoints, and they had started behaving a way where they were soured towards others. And we had to find ways to change it. But the weird thing was when we changed it and helped them, then they went back, and then their movie, instead of ending in a low point for them, it became a cereal commercial. Then we met a Commander Crunch, the Crunchy Crispy Commander, a cereal mascot. I guess you'd say anthropomorphic, like a giant stuffed animal, not an animal though, like a kind of a human, somewhat, you know what I'm saying? Like an animated figure, but it wasn't animated. Not claymation either. Great question. More of a puppet, but way too human, but not, I guess you know what I'm saying. And the crispy Commander Crunch said, hey, come on, you got to help me. You'll get money for helping me. You don't worry, time's slowed here. Also, you'll be helping your community because, hey, what if one of these autumnal figures just started wandering around town and they were still in their frowny face mode? That probably wouldn't be good for anybody either. And I've got a plan. And some of this, I don't know, I'm feeling forgetful right now, but it was like, okay, we can help you, we'll get paid, and we're doing the right thing. And we'd already, our disbelief had already been suspended long before this. So the idea of meeting a living serial mascot, we'd already met people from movies, and we'd already gone through every plausible reason till when we said, nope, our disbelief, at this point, we're suspending our disbelief. You never make that a conscious decision. I don't think you can. Kind of like drifting off into dreamland. It just ends up suspended, more like you go into a state of that. But we were definitely in that state. We were all in. And then we kept helping. We helped somebody find some pipe cleaners, and we helped the Count de Chocolate be the greatest waver in London, I believe. And then we had gone to sleep. And when we woke up, we heard another movie, obviously. I still think we heard more than one movie, but now my memories are... Then we said, wait a second, were we supposed to go to the mall first or the movie first? But you know what we did is we went to the snack bar first. It was stocked, and everything was there, and that was what we were used to. Now we're teens, right? So, there was enough for us to hot dogs for breakfast, but that's fine. Nacho cheese, the breakfast of champions with nachos, popcorn, and we went into another one of the theaters. And a movie was playing, and this movie's about someone, the person who can't be seen. Now, the funny thing is, all of us knew about the person who can't be seen, but oh boy, we had never seen this movie. We had seen clips from the movie. We'd seen modern versions of the movie. We'd seen it on Scooby-Doo and other things like that, but holy cow, we never saw this movie before. And felt like we watched it 500 times, to be honest, because the person who could not be seen, and, I'm in no position to judge anybody, but we had already seen a lot of these movies, and you'd say, okay, put them, where you'd say, least likely to make me smile, we'll just say. You say, come up with a list of all the autumnal people associated with the autumnal season and give me the least people who are least likely to make me smile. You'd put the person who can't be seen, let's just say you only had a list of 10. I'd say, 10, okay. Before this, I'd say, before seeing in the movie, I'd say, probably a 10. I mean, they're probably the lowest. There's plenty of people, but way higher. You'd say, the Count, even the Count of Chocolate, you say it's probably higher than the person who can't be seen. I mean, they're just going around, taking coins from people and, finding out, listening on people's conversations. Okay, that's that's not as bad. Person... even Frankie, because Frankie was so powerful, you'd say, okay, but Frankie, nice on the inside or wants to be nice, but just, you say, yeah, no. Or the mommy, she kind of had power almost, and physically you'd say, well, that meeting the mommy would be quite a surprise. So, yeah, person who can't be seen. Anybody, I'm just thinking honestly out loud here, anybody, I think if I was putting a top 10 list, that would be lower. And I can't really think like a Wolfie Poo. No, that's higher for sure. Swamp Buddy, that would be higher too. But, oh boy, you watch this movie a few times and you're talking close to number one of the person least likely to make me smile ever, especially after watching this movie. We were throwing our food at the screen. That's how strongly we felt about it. And I don't know what was happening. I mean, maybe it was the soda. They did have, strangely enough, the cola that gives you a jolt on tap, which I never even heard of before. But holy moly, were we, each of us, and we each had a different reaction that was strong. Because this person who can't be seen, I don't know. Like, you think about the song Redemption Song, or the idea of redemption. Or you say, well, let me think of a quality that I like about this person. You say, oh, I don't know. I mean, they found out the ability to do that. I mean, some of it was funny at first, the first time you watched it, because you say, okay, this person's really grouchy. And you would use not 4-letter words, 1, 2, 3, plus 4, to describe them. Because that's just how they were. Like, they were not nice at all. Ego, selfish, and eventually, as the movie went on, their behavior continued to escalate in their view of the world, in their view of their place in the world. Because the first time we watched it, they just seemed like, some people say this, I'm a disruptor. Oh, boy, I disrupt. And I think maybe if this person was born in the modern times, oh, yeah, I'm just disrupting things. But you'd say, holy, I don't know if there's anything to smile about here. And so by the time we were strongly projecting our feelings about it, we said, what are we going to do? Like, should we try to find another movie? Because how can we possibly help someone we all feel strong loathing for? And, Josie said, I don't want to help them. And we all kind of saw it the same way. But I mean, I think like it was like, okay, well, but how would we help this person? We kind of strategized. We had a little bit of experience. And we tried to pick a turning point in the movie. And I guess we were kind of charged up to solve this one ahead of time. But the more we watched, the more perplexing it got. It's like, okay, at least in the other movies, there's kind of like a sense of, and maybe this was just because we were teens, I don't know, that we could reason with the person. And we wanted, like Frankie, we wanted to help Frankie because Frankie had tried to help other people, and they said, no, you're too much of an amalgamation. We prefer you don't help us anymore. We prefer you do stuff for us, but we don't want to say thank you. And so then Frankie made that noise, like when Frankie's grouchy. And the mommy, she kind of had she had people that were kind of rivals in a sense, I think. And we said, okay, we get it. Your rivals made a move on you first, and you want to regain that. We don't know about that, but we understand your feelings. And I don't know, is this like where you go from being a child to an adult, maybe? I don't know. And then the Count also had a tale like that we really could relate to. In the film, maybe less so, but at the same time, not totally. But yeah, the Count wanted to be close to people. But the Count's mad, the curse of chocolate kept the Count from being able to do that. And like I said, even other movies we were thinking about at the time, we said, why couldn't we got one of those movies? At least we could, because this person, they just seemed to say, I love chaos, man. And I'm not going to, say, okay, this is how much you owe us to stay here. Nah, I prefer not to pay you. Okay, you're a guest in our home. Nah, prefer, please don't wear Like, here's a perfect example from the movie. Didn't get a lot of attention. May have even only been, like, they say, hey, like, I know we hung out together, person who can't be seen. I know you want to come stay in my house. And, I got a lot of feelings about that. But here's the one thing. I just got these new rugs in. They got this new thing, wall-to-wall carpeting. And I prefer, maybe this was a commercial in the middle of the movie. I don't remember. But they said, just don't come in with muddy. Just take your shoes off. And then the invisible person doesn't do that because you can see their footprints. But you say, who would do that? And then Josie was really the thing, because then there was a bike. It was in a town in England, right? And bicycling was a thing there. And they had this beautiful canal. And the person who couldn't be seen would ride the bike around town just to bug people, but not their own bike, other people's bikes. And then what they would do is, because you'd see a bike moving, a person that can't be seen on there. And at first it was like, oh boy, but then people started to be like, but then they would get off the bike, especially if people were chasing after them, but they would let the bikes go into the canal. And this wasn't like this was a canal that was muddy. So once a bike got in there, it'd be stuck in the mud. Or kind of ruined, because it wasn't like a stainless steel bike. Josie and there was just one particular bike, right? And I think this is kind of, at this point, it became the same story, but I think this was Josie's story, Josie's story and the movie story, kind of sandwiched each other, for me at least. Because Josie had lived a life where, with a lot of focus, and wanted a bike, one of those bikes with the streamers on the handlebars and a basket and I believe a banana seat. And so Josie said that, saved for a long time and worked and said, okay, well, if it can't be provided for me, I'll find a way to earn money and get my bike with a banana seat and tassels, those are what they're called, streamers, tassels on the handlebars. You know what I mean? Coming out in a basket on front. And the thing was, we had bikes, right? And for a time, Josie would have to borrow one of our siblings' bike. Said, well, I'm going to get my own bike. I'll find a way to earn it and deliver a morning paper. Back when we were kids, there was 2 newspapers a day. One of them got delivered in the morning. You would have to get up before school, like an hour and a half before school, if you were Josie, and deliver the newspaper. Then come home from school and deliver the newspaper. But Josie did that because the bike Josie wanted was wasn't just some run-of-the-mill bike like that. It was but Josie did the research, said, well, I just don't want a bike that looks good. I want a bike that's good quality. And so Josie got that bike. And then not long after that, the bike was gone, if you know what I'm saying. Someone had borrowed the bike without permission. And it had taken Josie a long time to earn that bike and save for that bike. And I think that as we watched the movie, Josie decided, without telling any of us, and this had not happened yet in our adventures, but Josie, during the first time the person who can't be seen was going to take the bike, Josie went into the movie to stop them from taking the bike the first time. But what was strange was that, we couldn't see Josie in the movie. We saw Josie, we didn't know we could do this. And we weren't able to after this. We were hitting the screen, But Josie went into the screen of the film. But as far as we could tell, other than we could hear Josie. We couldn't see Josie. And Josie became the person who could not be seen. But much like in our other experiences, Josie couldn't change. It was like Josie was like like suddenly the puppeteer became the puppet. I don't know if that makes any sense to you, but that's kind of what happened. And so Josie was in the movie taking the bike. Josie was in the movie riding, like, Josie became the person who couldn't be seen. And now here's the thing, like, so this was early in the movie, right? Now we knew one thing from our experience was if we, like, when we helped the other buds, autumnal bud, they became our autumnal buds. When we put them back in the movies, like, if we were wrong and we put them back in the movie without fixing it, they would come back out. But they would come back out after the movie had reached its conclusion, which was never good for any of the buds. But we said, well, Josie's, like, real, and she's gone into this movie. So we were strongly yelling at the screen and yelling for Josie. And also there's a lot of action in that movie. And we noticed that there's a lot of jumping and staircasing and stuff like that. And at some point, it wasn't until like, whatever, like, I'll explain it, I guess, after, because, like, I just get it over with. Eventually, Josie came out of the movie at the very end, just like in the other experiences. And Josie had come out, but Josie had was limping a little, more than a little. But in the movie, I don't know, this is all kind of like a dream, so it's really hard to explain. Like, Josie had, because one of the person who can't be seen, it happened in the movie. Like, they like are going up and down the stairs of the inn, going in and out of windows. Eventually they go to their friend's house, like with, who had the carpet, and they were also like a MD, and they'd taken care of, the person who can't be seen. I don't know if that's a poultice, but they put something on your, whatever, if you strain something. But then again, the person who couldn't be seen kept causing more and more chaos. So Josie came out of the movie. So Josie had a limp now. We said, well, are you okay? And Josie said, no, I, pretty sure, the A to the C to the L of mine, is like, I'm going to be okay right now. And we said, wait a second, what? And Josie said, yeah, that's like, I don't know if I'm like, pretty sure I'm going to lose my scholarship because, not supposed to engage in any activity where I could strain anything or like, but Josie said for the time being in the movie, I got it okay. So I just have a slight limp right now. We'll have to deal with it later. Josie's still in disbelief, not suspension of disbelief, you know what I mean? But like, a thing of like, I just can't think about it right now. Let's just not talk about it anymore. Yes, I have a limp. Yes, it probably means, but Josie said, doesn't matter because I'm changed. We met like, yo, because you got a limp now? And Josie said, no. And Josie kind of walked through that our impressions of the movie were actually somewhat correct. And that this person in the movie was like, maybe not, like Josie's like, I'm still at a loss of what to do. And like, if this person, we should help them, we can help them. Like, I don't know, like, we said, well, what do you mean you're changed? And Josie said, think about the movie. Like, Josie said, like, I'm not totally, like, in denial about what happened, you know, and why I'm limping. I'm changed. And I'm, you know, I am parsing my feelings about it, too, so I don't want to talk about it any more than that. But as far as I could tell this movie, this person was questing after something, this breakthrough. And like it brought, like, you know, like, I don't know. I'm just reassessing everything. I think I'm changing. And we said, okay, we don't, like, we just said, it's teenage stuff. I don't know. Okay. And we said, is there anything else you learn? And Josie said, yeah, like the person who can't be seen, right? Josie said it's like, cause she was like, maybe, I thought maybe it was like the quest for it that made them behave that way, or, maybe the formula. And she said like something like being invisible, not being able to be seen. And Josie's like, I want to say it creates the desire for chaos, but it's not that. It like is like something. Does it activate something latent? Josie's like, I guess this is what changed for me. I just can't put it quite into words. It's like, I think we all have experienced this in our school days. Like, it's a selfish, fully selfish act that doesn't seem selfish at all. And we're like, what? Josie said, being invisible, like to want to be the one person in the world that could never be seen is, like, think about how selfish might be the wrong word, but that's the only word I have for it. It's like a frowny-faced selfishness, right? That I could just go through the world and never be seen. But in order to achieve that, like maybe this is what they mean when remember that college class we tried to take that's so confusing, like talking about duality? Like that, at the same time, you have to have this grandness that it can be achieved and that you deserve to achieve it. This is what it was like being, I think I'm finally being up, like, someone that's not nice on the playground, right? Like, and then you find out, oh, well, like, someone was not nice to them first. And then, we've all seen people whose grown-ups that are like that. Like there was people that when they were on the playground, no one was nice to them. And then they grow up, and they are the ones, and they say, oh boy, just like kind of like the other, like, this isn't his reasoning, but it's part of it is like, I'm not saying that this is what he's doing. Keep going, Josie. We said, I don't totally get it. It's like an ability not to see, like the invisibility causes their ability not to see. Like, that's what happens with the adults or even like the other characters we've helped is that, they grow up and they say, well, these people weren't nice to me. So now I'll find, a way to return that to them in adulthood or people like them in adulthood or anyone that's, in this case, I think I'm not saying this is the cause or the effect. Maybe another way to say it. So they can't see anything. They're invisible, but they cannot see. All they see is their importance, right? The importance of how they feel. And that their motivations cannot be understood, especially with this person who can't be seen in this movie. They were like, my motivations cannot even be grasped by someone like me, Josie said. Like, there's no way you can understand this, how brilliant I am and how I need to be seen and never seen. Like, you can't grasp it, Josie. This is what it was like in my head in that movie. And, luckily I retained myself. So it's like I was, if it's not I was like having a is that like, if you're watching a duality happen. But anyway, I said like the cloak of invisibility is what will enable this. We're like, wait a second. So you're saying that invisibility is really like also like, or at least so it created this like self-deception. Yeah. Like the person was not seen, but that was also like an untruth, or to them. And we were all like, yeah, man, maybe it was the cola that jolts you, and we had crested, because we had to sit around for a while, and we kind of like went in and out of like naps while the movie continued to play. And we just wanted to stay close to Josie and use ice and stuff, even though, again, the time in the movie is different than the time where we were, which is different than the time in the real world. So Josie's thing was feeling better, but still Josie had a limp, right? And then we kind of looked at our seats of the theater, and we saw in each of the seats an invitation. And we knew we had been invited by, obviously, the invisible the person who couldn't be seen. And it was an invitation to tea. And it was for high tea at Tammy's Tea Traders, which was another shop. And then we looked at the things, and we debated a little bit, but we were so, I don't know, we were baffled in like deep thoughts. We said, we might as well go, right? I mean, this has got to be from the person who wouldn't be seen. Were they listening to us? Doesn't matter. Then we kind of talked about it because we said, well, so if we go into Tammy's tea time with Tammy's Tea Traders or whatever it was called, right? Why is the person who can't be seen inviting us to tea? Who knows? Maybe it's somebody else. Maybe it's a worker that needs help. Or maybe, I don't know. So but we were like, okay, well, how do we deal with this? Because we also had like a fiery spirit, I would say. And we're like, maybe we take this person who can't be seen. And we said, okay, the tea traders would be pretty easy because there's tons of loose tea there, right? And so we started to think like, okay, what's sticky we could throw on, we'll discover them in tea, like loose tea and sticky stuff. Then you've been teed, like instead of teed and tea, like teed, like instead of feathers. And we had already been to, what do you call it? Crafty Lace craft shop. So we went there. And actually, they had the stuff to make paper mache, which is pre-mixed, which is just like watery glue, I believe. And we said, okay, that's perfect. So there's no way this person is going to be invisible to us, right? Because that would be unacceptable. And so we said, okay. So we grabbed some buckets of that. I guess the person that couldn't be seen could have been listening to us the whole time, but I guess we didn't really care anyway. Huh, that's interesting. But yeah, whatever. Spoiler, they weren't listening to us. So we went and we got a few buckets of paste, or watery paste, and we kind of kept it at our sides. And then we made a plan, and we left it a couple stores down. And we said, okay, like we'll just like somebody say they got to go to the bathroom, and we'll do it that way. And so we said, okay, that's our plan. Other people just start looking at the tea, and we said, yeah, like we were kind of trying to predict the future, but make a plan. So we get to Tammy's Tea Traders. Now the difference between, it was actually like the tobacco shop in a sense, because they had it was a show place for tea. So there was giant glass jars of loose tea, and you could buy, and it always smelled like tea. Mall used to be a place full of smells, and not just waffle cones and soft pretzels and Cinnabon, you know. But anyway, so we go in there, and in the middle of the store is a table set up with a tea settings, 5 tea settings. And like the one at the head of the table, then two sides of the table. And our plan was for a couple, like to be casual, and but a couple people to grab and just like move the big things of tea. And And like, it was actually San said, okay, like, I'll just pretend like I've always wanted to do that. And even if, so the person who couldn't be seen, no, I'll just explain what happened. So we go in like, they're going to make an appearance, And San goes, like, so we pretended, it was a bit like a movie where we started a fake conversation, Boyd and San did. So they walked into the scene conversing, but it was a fake conversation about, oh, yeah, I can't wait to show you. They got these big glass things of tea. They're huge. And so I went in one side of the place, just kind of like looking confused while those two were in an animated conversation and Josie was with me. And I was kind of helping Josie along. And then I pulled out one of the seats for Josie to sit down. And I already got a sense of a presence, but those two were hamming it up. And they got two of the big jars of tea. And I said, look at these things. And they were big. They're these big glass cylinders of tea. I mean, you're talking, I don't know, 1 foot, what is that, radius pi squared? Yeah, radius pi. So, like 1 foot of like in 3 feet tall. And Sam takes one down, hands it to Boyd. Like, this is tea, eh? Like, it's old tea, I guess. They're like, man, it still seems like new. And they took those down and they put it, and then this happened to be great timing by Boyd. Said, actually, I got to, like, before I have any tea, I got to take a pee. And we all laughed. And that's when we heard other laughter, but Boyd had already left to go get the paste. And that's when we saw one of the teacups go up at the head of the table. Josie was right next to the head of the table and surprised. And the person who couldn't be seen said, have a seat. I'm happy to have you for tea. And then I sat down next to Josie. And San said, okay, but San was holding both things and said, well, I kind of want to keep some of the, so are you the person that can't be seen, I guess? Usually, San was really good at improving. So San put the 2 things down and was like almost fake talking in the wrong direction of the person who couldn't be seen, even though because of the teacup, you could see where they were. And then they talked a thing in their thing. And they, San was like, whatever. I can't even remember now. Sam was saying, oh, yeah, I've always wanted to, have some of the, as a kid, we come to the small, but Sam was like, usually we help a worker first. But last time we met somebody, do you know there's other, maybe it was that Santa had, didn't need tea because so much of the cola that jolts you. But whatever, then Boyd came in and, Boyd had another brilliant idea, which was Boyd was whistling. And so I took one of the jars and I just pretended I was holding it between my hands and Boyd was whistling. And then Boyd came straight in with one of the buckets of paste, threw it at the, person who couldn't be seen, and then we threw tea leaves on them. But this is the thing, the immediate sound was after them spitting out tea and paste, because apparently their mouth was open. Luckily, this is the kind of stuff you give to toddlers, the paste, and tea, something for everybody. But they started laughing hysterically. But not, in the movie, there's a lot of hysterical laughter, but it's not hysterical. It's like that, that word, maniacal, This was actual real laughter. You just covered me in, just like if we're doing it to ourselves. And actually, Josie and San and I, to a lesser degree, all had tea leaves on us. So they were laughing, the person who couldn't be seen, which really threw us off. And they said, why don't you sit down for some tea? Like, please join me. I have, and then we said, like, okay, but this is just so weird. Like, they had sandwiches, like, and they said, yeah, I've been preparing stuff all along. Like, hey, sit down, enjoy yourselves. Like, I'm ready for you. And we said, what do you mean? And they said, I've been working, like, keeping the mall clean. Don't worry. I'll fill you all in. Sit down. You're my guests. And I don't know, there's something about it where we did sit down. And I mean, I take a break now and tell you more later, but we sat down to tea. And it was after that height of laughter and thrill and all the cola that jolts you a few hours before. Like, we sunk into, like, a quiet state. And I was like, wait a second, you've been, my internal dialogue was saying the invisible, the person who couldn't be seen has been cleaning the mall. That, like, almost makes sense. Wait a second. So I don't know. We that's where I guess I'll stop my tale for tonight. I'm glad you're all here with me, and I'll be telling you more soon. Good night. All right, I want to thank everybody that recently supported the show on Sleep With Me Plus. I want to thank Paige, Aaron, and Brett. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Barbara, Debbie, and Rebecca. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Corey, Rachel, and Jen. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Huxley, Catherine, and Morgan. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Leslie, Danny, and Tom. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Courtney, Lindsay, and Tabitha. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Joe, Matt, and Bill. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Barry, June, and Amy. Thanks, and good night. Nicholas, Vidya, and B. Thanks, and good night. And Catherine, Brian, and Jennifer. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Thanks for everybody who supports the show directly on Sleep With Me Plus. That's how we exist as a free podcast. And those of you who support our sponsors or support the show on Apple Podcasts. We grow this podcast by just sharing with people about the show. Though you can use our referral link and spread the word about the show using that link. So thanks so much. Thanks. All right, everybody scoots with your tuck you in. Thank you. Good night message. Kind of week or month in review. And it's been a pretty big month or 2 months. We launched Bedtime Stories from Sleep With Me, which offers the story-only version of shows from starting a few years ago, right around episode 1000. So if you prefer a story-only version of show or you listen 5 times a week, it might be something to check out. And you can check that out right in your podcast app of choice. That's an ad-supported version, Bedtime Stories from Sleep With Me. If you really love the story-only stuff, you can get, I think we have around 900 episodes in the story-only feed on Sleep With Me Plus, and those are ad-free. And this month is made possible, more than ever by the people who support the show directly, and that's the only reason we're able to be here is those people that do take action. I mean, I know, and I realize, don't worry, if you're not in a position to support the show financially, that's totally cool. Like, the beauty is the people that do choose to take action because they can afford it, have got you covered, and they want to have you covered because they care about you, because they know how you feel. So you could just join me, actually, in thanking these people: Ava, Caroline, Royce, Cam, Thomas, Alana, Lucas, Virginia, Sarah, Julia, Michaela, Holly, Jennifer, Alec, Evelyn, Ellen, Dina, Kylie, Dave, Alex, Kaylee, Jonathan, Warren, Christine, Simon, Christopher, Nanette, Natasha, Becca, and Mary Kate for supporting the show for this month, for signing up to support the show directly. And let's run through what came out this month, Let's check Pocket Casts here. I have So in the, like this is on Sleep With Me Plus, but also in the public ad-supported feed too, we had all intro episode come out. Then we had, let's see, 1274 stuffed animal planning, paper mache tea time. That was Multiplex 10. Stowe Lake on location repeat. That's a listener favorite. Guild web series watch episode season 1. Then we had all intro for the 4th. Alba Salix season 1 episode 5 to market 2021 Fearless Flyers fall in August edition. Rent Brainbots, that was part of our Trevor Project Orlando Park Stop fundraiser. Multiplex 9, The Crafty Lady, Slurpin' DJ Echo Bass, that was non-location listener favorite 540. Ray at the Animal Kingdom in Epcot, Cooling It Down. And Alba Salix Season 4, Episode 1. So yeah, if you're on Sleeping Plus, those are both in the story-only feed and the full episode feed, as well as in the ad-supported version of Sleep With Me as well. We also launched a TNG-only feed on Sleep With Me Plus for Boar Besties, or you could subscribe to that if you're a TNG super fan. And all night, a TNG came out for Boar Besties and Boar Friends of Volume 10. Then all intro episodes came out on June 27th, June 13th, and June 5th was TNG All Night Volume 9. And then another all intro. Then in the bonus feeds, oh boy, is subscriber summer in full swing. We got Posty putting out Posty Super Deluxe episodes every couple weeks in the Welcome to Scooterville series. We had a catalog episode, Sierra Online's 10th anniversary. Another Scooterville episode for Boar Friends and Boar Besties, Ray riding a bike in Saratoga Springs. Then we had Frankie, like the prequel, the pre-chapters to the book Frankie and Victoria. It goes by other names too. That's like a subscriber read with me. Glamping. Then we had Scooter's version, which is a Sleep With Me Plus bonus. San Francisco balcony episode. So a lot of cool stuff there. So I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you listen to the show. I'm glad I get to put you to sleep. Thank you so much. Whether you support the show or not, I really thank you for listening and sending your positive energy out. Or just falling asleep because I've been there and not being able to sleep. So good night.